Yeah, for example, the president.
Prime example.
Yeah, you know, when he
Really?
got in office, he was, you know what I mean, you're black and all these things, and then what, 7 years later? 6? You know? Almost white.
Less than the 7 years, I want to tell you this, that probably within
Around
the
the
second year, you start to see it. For real.
Wow.
Now, it will take a toll on you. Now, you will be tired, cranky, and emotional. And there's not much you can do about it, no matter how good your self-care is. Now, it's just not possible for a human being to sustain high level of energy in all these areas for a long time. If you're not willing to suffer these effects, entrepreneurship may probably not be for you.
That is so true, TC. Because the work that you have to put in,
Right.
day in, day out, tirelessly, without having to leave it for somebody else to take up. If you don't have that commitment, it doesn't make, I will totally agree with him, it doesn't make no sense you pursue being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Because once you start it, you have to finish it. You know what I mean? It's not like you can be like, okay, when the next guy comes in on the next shift, he takes it over or whatever the case is.
Right.
You know? So I strongly do believe that when just the mere idea of saying, I'm going to become an entrepreneur.
Right.
The things that comes along with it is there is no limit. I cannot limit myself. I'll have to put in whatever amount of time is required of me to complete whatever task I need to get
done. Right.
You know what I mean? And once you have that in mind, some of the time it will eliminate some of the gray hair. You know what I mean? But it's when time you say, John, what's time I never know, say, this is how difficult it was gonna be, and boy, I'm gonna know if more continue, but you still have push it, you know. And just when you don't get creative,
yes,
to find easier ways and steps to make your job easier, then that will take a toll. And
okay, so here's one of the things that I'm bubbling with. I say, for example, I'm starting this business, a pest company. Right. Now, it's a competitive company because there's other people out there that's been doing this for years.
Right.
Meaning they have the equipment to do major corporations. They could probably go into a hotel and do the entire place within a week.
Right.
For me, that would take me months, based on the manpower that I have, and But the product that I have is a much more sustainable product that, for example, you'll probably come in and do the job, and within less than a month or two, the place start get back infested. Right. For me now, when I do it, there's no infestation after. But you get the job based on the fact that the long term that you've been in it. Even though I'm coming in the job with this knowledge of, said, all right, this is my thing. I'm going to make sure that when I finish with this place, there's no more insect here.
Right.
Right? And we're just using a pest company as an example. And when I'm done with that, this person get a bulk of the money, but yet still, a month after, the place get infested back again.
Right.
Well, I'll charge you this amount and give you a better result. How a young entrepreneur deal with such competition?
Well, it's a difficult one, because when you're going up against, I would say, bigger giants than you are.
Right.
And there are steps that one has to take, not necessarily that they will work, because if the company feels like they are comfortable with the service that they are getting, because you as an entrepreneur is going to highlight some stuff that you know that you can do better at.
Yes.
And if the company feels like they are okay with the amount of money that they're putting out, with the service that they're getting, it's very difficult for you to sell your idea to them. But if they, the company, see and understand and see where you're coming from and would love to change that, then that creates that room where you can go in there. No, you have to be persistent. You have to be resilient in what you're doing. You can't just approach them one time and they knock you down and you give up. You know what I'm saying? You have to sell your product like never before. You know what I mean? And let them know how your product is much different from, or your service, I should say, is much. You got to draw a contrast then. But there's a bunch of stuff, T, that that goes along with it, and even you as an entrepreneur, and if that company doesn't sees where it's best for them, more than likely you have to hit them financially in terms of, all right, I'm going to give you the same service that you're getting, but I'm going to give it to you at a cheaper cost.
This price.
This is where competition, creates that.
Let me ask you a question now. For a company such as a pest company, which your company is a much bigger and established company,
right?
Simply meaning you have more manpower,
right?
Much bigger overhead than I do,
right?
But my company doesn't have that manpower. So for me to cut my price, right?
Right.
I probably will be shorting the few men that I have working with me to compete with you. Who's going to stand the loss there?
Well, it's not even so much as even shorting the few man. If I'm going up against you,
yes,
and you have that large company of 5,000 employees doing your job, and I only have 500, it's very difficult for me to cover the grounds that you can cover within that timely manner. So right there, that's a tall case to plead. That's a tall case to plead. And that's most of the time, man, that's not even a winnable battle. You know what I mean? Because a lot of owners look at it not so much as quality, but quantity in terms of what they need to get done. All right, you have a large fleet. I need XYZ amount of things to be covered within XYZ amount of time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not necessarily that they're getting the best quality, but you can cover it within the time frame that you given to them. Now, if you cannot meet that time frame, which might just be the most valuable thing about the whole reason why
they're actually giving you the opportunity,
then you can never beat him.
Okay.
Yes. So that's so you was the entrepreneur now gonna have to go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? Where you're gonna have to grow. You're probably gonna have to grow faster than to compete with such and such.
Okay. All right. So I fully comprehend. Now, for me, I honestly think that, do I need to seek an investor to compete in this market if this is the field that I want to stay in and become and be a successful entrepreneur in? Do I need to seek an investor to broaden my horizon, meaning employ more people?
Well, I wouldn't say you need to seek an investor, because that particular business is, you need to have more employees in terms of soliciting for your company in terms of growth. This is where your marketing. Marketing is where your big chunk of money is gonna go to. Marketing is where, in order to grow to that capacity that you need to, you have to invest highly in marketing in terms of sales, trying to get different and more contracts, because that's how you're going to end up employing more and more people. Because it's not like you can be like, okay, I'm going to hire, 4,500 more employees, to meet up to your
competitor.
To your competitor without getting the contract.
Okay.
It
would be useless if I should get the employees and don't have the contract.
Yeah. What if you said, okay, I'm going to come up with that money, or you seek that investment to come up with that money so you can bankroll the payroll for the next 4,500 employees. And then you don't get that contract. And when you get that contract, they want to cut the price on you so low that,
in order to compete with the competitors too.
It doesn't make no sense for you.
It does make a lot of sense right now, Junior, for real.
Yeah.
All right, so it wouldn't make sense to employ this one bag of people to compete with the competitors. What you should do is just stay slow.
Market your way up the ladder.
Market up the ladder.
Yes.
Does make a lot of sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope it makes a lot of sense to you too. All right, so the next question then. There will be slow season. Hold on. Before I get to that, I think, okay, yes. We were just at how to adjust your price.
Right.
Let's talk about slow season. What do we do when there's slow season? Let me read a part of this article first, real quick, and then we'll get to what we'll do. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Your product takes off. You can't believe the ride you're on. 6 months later, business is in the droves. No, you're not quite sure what happened. Every business has this happen to them at least once. Sometimes it's a season thing. The business will pick up in a couple of months. Other times it's an economy thing. And you just have to ride out the low point until consumers are buying again. Whatever the reason is, you need to expect that you won't have the same income all the time and plan accordingly. All right? Now, what he's actually saying is that, and this happened to a lot of people who go into a business, and at a certain time when they enter the business, it was booming in because that's the peak season for the business.
Right.
So they thought, hey, this is good. Why haven't I done this a long time ago? Now, when low season come and take a dip, they start to worry. And I've seen that happen to a lot of friends of mine. They worry and I wonder if this is the right choice that they make to, invest their, money in this business. No, as the writer says, sometimes you just have to stick it up because it's either one or two things. It dips because of the economy, one, and it dips because consumers sometimes, withdraw at a certain period. Like, for example, you would probably spend your money after you're done paying for your rent, your car note, and all those stuff, and doing your grocery, and you see what you have left to go shopping. Right? So, sometimes consumers will hold back, and that will put a dip. And this happens on a clock where rent time is normally the first of the month.
Right.
And all these other bills come somewhere around there. So one would have to budget around that. So probably at the first of the month, you may see depending on the type of business you're doing. Say, for example, you have a restaurant business or a clothing business. Depending on your business. Now, I'm quite sure, like, for health, it's a different case.
Right.
Whether the first of the month or not, if you're not feeling good, you just have to go deal with what you have to deal with.
For real.
And make adjustment other places in the budget.
Yes, indeed.
But with this now, some people give up on the first instance of low season, not understanding that this happens from time to time.
Right. I believe that, for one, you have to really think about what you're getting into when you're getting into anything.
Right.
You don't just go into it. You know what I mean? So I'll say, for slow season, you have to study the economy. Whatever business that you're going into, you have to study the economy. And a lot of people would agree with me that January, February, March are the slowest months. And 90% of the business, of most business, experience that slow growth, slow job employment, slow, because you're coming off that peak season of November, December. Right. So January, February, March, everybody is buckling up, back to school, this, that. There's so many different things. So you know what I mean? That's going on. So those 3 months, and more than likely those 3 months are within the winter time, the highest part of the winter time, where the economy shrinks because there's not enough people going out to do stuff because of the weather and a lot of those stuff. So you have to, once you have that within mind, this is just basic business knowing of basic seasonal knowings, right?
Yes.
That, all right. January, February, March, your slowest month. April, May, June, July, August, that's when things, you know what I mean, your peak season. And then it goes after Labor Day, it dies down a little bit, then Thanksgiving comes, and then it peaks, it goes back up. And you're gonna know your high times are within the holidays. The holidays are gonna be your high times. And I'll totally agree with you that, and getting close to the end of the month and the beginning of the month, during that period of time, also you'll see where there's low and stuff are slow. But once you have those 3 months, and the idea that those 3 months,
yes,
which a lot of business fail within those 3 months, because say, for example, you start your business up in October and you started right in that peak season that you said.
Yes.
And then December you're like, oh man. And then January morning, bam, your revenue cuts in two. You cannot maintain the operation that you had, you know what I mean, for the next 3 months. You're going to fail. And look when you're going to fail. You're going to fail right when time the business is going to pick up again. Right. But you are not knowing that. You give up. Because for the past 3 months, you're like, this is what it looks like. But you don't study the economy and know how the economy flows. So you give up.
So you would say it's good for one to study economy.
Very good. Microeconomics. I'll say it's very good that one studies it.
All right. So here's a factor that will derail people from to becoming a successful entrepreneur. And this part right here, this question is a question that a lot of entrepreneurs don't ask. And you could research any job or anything feel that you want to get into.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't research this.
Why?
And here's why. This is what they take for granted. But this is, I would say, 70% of why most startup business fail. Here's why. Ladies and gentlemen, the question is, your family and close friend will face stress. Let me read this article to you. If you think you're the only one who will pay a price to get your business started, you couldn't be more wrong. All right? As an entrepreneur, you will miss important events. You will not get enough rest and be tired and cranky. This will influence your personal relationship. This doesn't have to be something negative and can be a chance for your friends and family to really and truly rally around you at this point with their support to help you out when you hit a deadline or to do something special to help relieve the stress. Junior, this is what a lot of people don't research. This is what damages a lot of startup business. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes you will see a business, an opportunity to start a business.
Right.
Some people don't literally sit down and talk it over with their spouses.
Right.
And what happened is they went off and they're doing it. Now it's going to cut something along the way. Some sacrifice is going to be made, whether it be financially or emotionally.
Right.
But some sacrifice is going to be made. And here's why. Now, I think that for it to be successful, you have to say up front, this is going to take, it's going to take some of our savings. One, now we're going to cut back on this and cut back on that. This has to be a mutual agreement.
Yes.
Now, also, the time that we used to go fishing or we used to go camping or we used to have our weekends and stuff like that, we're going to cut into that a bit.
Right.
So all these leisures will be cut. And you have to properly communicate this to your spouse. Now, when it's not properly communicated, what happens is a lot of confusion, misunderstanding.
Right.
And one person think that you're not very supportive and you don't want me to succeed and stuff like that. For some people, Junior, what they do, they'll say, you know what, I want to start a marketing business, but I really don't know much about marketing. So what I'm going to do a part-time job and go to school part-time.
Right.
Still doesn't discuss it with the spouse. Now, for you to do a part-time job, it's going to mean part-time income.
Right.
So now something is going to offset. Now the spouse will have to pick up a slack. But without proper communication,
right,
the spouse will be wondering what's happening. You know what I mean? So I think it's for you to be less stress on you, less stress on your family and your friends, is to communicate properly what you're doing and have your spouse rally around and be a part of this establishment.
But
for you,
right,
as an entrepreneur, how do you see this?
I'll to pick up on your last point, I'll say sometimes if you're the visionary,
yes,
you have to go rogue. You have to go rogue because not
and
all the
explain
time.
Go rogue.
When I say go
viewers.
rogue,
yes, can understand.
When I say go rogue, not all the time your spouse or your significant other is gonna be on board with your vision.
True.
And I'll say that with my last venture. You know what I mean? It's one of those that takes me away from family and and I saw the lucrativeness in the business, and it's one of those that you have to pay your dues. It takes some time, you know, and it takes time away from your family. It takes that sacrifice that might cost you your family. But if you can see where that your significant other is trying to project your family down the road, if you have that short-term vision right here,
yes,
then you won't see that, and that will lead to a lot of arguments and a lot of stuff. And you know the joy about it, TC, is when you go through that fight and that this and that and all that, and the time pass and you achieve the vision that you laid out, and they're like, John Star, you know, it looked good now, but then, you know, when you laid it out, it is just too much for got you. And sometimes when Coco T said, you know, after them take a little longer for come around, I true. So yeah, dirty, but it will cause stress on the family, man, if you have to take away any form of income from what was there before to do just about anything, whether it's something that's debated, because even a lot of times you debate it, but not, and you might agree to disagree, not necessarily that you're with it. And some of the times, you know, when you do take that income away from it to do whatever, and it doesn't flip the way how fast as you wanted to flip, it creates that strain on the family.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, you have to go sacrifice, you know, the 1 gallon for half gallon. You know what I mean? And that not gonna look good because we used to 1 gallon, and because of this thing where you try to do, we cannot afford that no more. And you know what I mean? So it does cost.
So let me ask this question, and this may be one of those questions that, you know, you say, what if the business fail?
Right.
How would the spouse view you as a visionary or a visionary person?
Well, obviously,
say you have another vision and another idea, and you come to the spouse with that idea. Do you think that she'll be supportive?
It's gonna be tough to try to sell that idea. You know, it's gonna be tough to try to sell that idea. What I will say, TC, and I'll say this from experience, man,
yes,
and I'll agree with you that we've started multiple, and we've done multiple business, and it goes back to each time you fail, man, you're one step closer to success. You know what I mean?
True.
And even if it's a different genre, if it's a different type of business, you know what I mean? Each time you fail, it doesn't mean that you write them off. Yes, you put the brakes on it and say, you know what? You learn your lesson. This is what you're not going to do going forward. You know what I mean? And I will say that people who are visionaries and who know what they want out of it, don't let, because of that one failure, you know what I mean?
They give up.
They give up. Because we talked about it before. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The most successful people in life goes through more failure than the man who got through it one time. You know what I mean? So not because you got through it and she have beat down by you or he's beating down on you, that means, you know what, I can't take the criticism, so therefore you're not going to do it. I welcome constructive criticism. All right? I feel like that, you got no. I'm going to deal with it different this time. And I'm going to prove you wrong.
I love how you look into it.
And sometimes you need that fight within.
That competitive
thing.
thing.
That tell me something I can't do it.
Yes.
And you do it and show you, say, yo, see, I did it.
Right.
What now?
All right. So do you think that, you know, any business that you're actually going into and the spouse that you are with is supportive of it, that business, it will be much more, twice as harder to fail than the spouse be negative about it?
I'll say for most of it. Because at least you can now focus on it and you're not fighting a two-tier fight. You're fighting a battle
with the business, you know, plus you're fighting a battle at home.
And sometimes that will create, you know what I mean,
yes,
a whole another vibe that you don't want to, it's very hard to function. And I'll say this to you, as an entrepreneur,
yes,
you have to be able to be like a spider in his web, tucked away in a corner where you can think. You have to be able to think. You can't always be, your mind cannot always be preoccupied. It's very hard to excel when you're always preoccupied, because you need that time to sit down and hold our meds and create and you know what I mean, and grow. And if your mind is always preoccupied, where are you gonna find that time that you need to, you know what I mean, to put in? So when you have your partner on your side, it makes it easier. It makes it a little bit easier. The journey of getting the business is always going to be there. You know what I mean? But at least, you just like them say, Michelle is the rock behind Barack or whatever. When you have that behind you, like, you know, one time you face an obstacle to the T where you're like, General Star, I don't know how to deal with it. But she'll come and be like, you know what, man? Here what happens.
Try this
is
approach.
My opinion. Yeah, try this approach.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, some never look at it that way. You know what I mean? Or I must say, you know what, even if they don't have a solution to it, you know what, keep on trying. But it's way better to have it like that than have you see what I tell you, and you're going to say, John, no star. You know help. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
So true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, welcome. Of course, our topic today, what to expect when starting up a business. Of course, this is something to expect. Expect that your spouse may not be on the same page as you. And, you know, expect these challenges coming from your loved ones as well. All right, and especially sometimes if you have kids and it's going to take away that time. It's going to be a little bit chaos. Now, here's another expectation. You will pay more tax. Is that true, Junior?
You'll pay more tax?
Yeah.
In terms of what?
All right, let's hear what the article says. Now, what with the self-employment tax on top of your normal tax contribution, you will give the government a larger percentage of your money than you have before when you have employees. Now, when you're an employee, you just go about your W-2 form, right?
You get a W-2.
Right, but now it's a whole different process because now you'll pay even more. This fact has drastically altered some business plan and can make a difference between turning a profit and declaring bankruptcy. Now, if you expect it ahead of time, you can plan better and remember to incorporate these expectations into your thoughts from very beginning. All right?
Stick up in.
Yes.
And I say to this. So the first order of business is not just is building your portfolio, knowing, you know, your agenda.
Right.
You go on and on. But in starting the business, you have to make whether it's going to be a corporation or it's going to be an LLC. These are it's going to be a C corp or it's an S corp. It's very important that you understand what type of business or partnership that you're going to set up. Now, earlier you mentioned about that that tax, that self-employment tax. So, say for example, now this is very important, TC, that you when you have an LLC or you have an S corporation, you have C corp and you have an S corp. An LLC, which is LLC, which is an S corp, right? Because you can have an LLC or a C corp, or you can have an LLC, S corp. What that does is it allows you to pay that self-employment tax, 15.1%, right? Is the self-employment tax that you pay back to the government, which is you paying into Social Security and Medicare. The difference between that and a Inc., so a corporation or S corp, is that you don't pay that self-employment tax, that 15%, that you don't pay into, basically you don't pay into Social Security or you don't pay into that Medicaid. So it's you know who's going to have to create your own long-term or retirement plan. Create your own portfolio because you're not paying into the system through that LLC corporation that you've created. So a lot of people, they go up and I'm like, oh man, I just want to incorporate my business, and they don't understand the difference between that LLC S corp or that incorporation, that Inc., which is a Inc. S corp. So you have to know the difference, whether you want to pay that 15.1% now on top of your income and pay into the Social Security and Medicaid. So when
the time
you
now by
retire,
Flexx Fm is...
The time is exactly 7 o'clock.
This
is a public service announcement. Okay. If you're riding, please remember to wear your helmet. If you're driving, remember to fasten your seatbelt. Do not text while driving. Remember always to be on alert for any pedestrians. This has been a message from the Safety Department of Flexx FM.
Why advertise with Flexx FM?
Advertising on Flexx Fm radio brings the community to your doorstep.
Your commercial is professionally produced. We offer competitive rates and our own flexible payment plans.
Do you want the word out about your new established business?
And create dedicated customers. Then advertise on Flexx FM radio.
Advertising with Flexx Fm radio should be your next call.
Call 954-729-2082.
That's 954-729-2082. Or email us at flexfm@gmail.com. That's FLEXXFM@gmail.com. Flexx FM.
Radio at its best. Don't hesitate.
Hey, are you confused about the Obamacare? Keep getting different answers about how much you should pay? Well, here is the solution to your problem. Call the experts at Grinnell Business Solutions. At Grinnell Business Solutions, you will sit down with a licensed agent with years of experience that will give you answers to questions that matters the most about your Obamacare, such as monthly payments, deductibles, co-insurance, and prescriptions. Have a doctor already? No problem. Your agent will make sure to find a plan that has your doctor in mind. The best part about Grinnell Business Solution is it's free. All consultation is free. Yes, I said it, free. Call them today about your Obamacare at 954-900-9802. That's 954-900-9802. Once again, 954-900-9802. That's 954-900-9802. Call them today. That's Grinnell Business Solution, the solution to your problems.
The station that rules the nation. From state to state, country to country, we play the hits just for you.
On Flexx FM.
People do for Monday.
That lady, man, selling that body, man.
She still even done that. It's crazy.
Damn, man. You're rich. Seen that lady, man, selling that body, man.
She still even done that. It's crazy.
Damn, man. You're rich.
Plus each and every Monday. So if you're or you're partnering up with someone in a business, then of course this is the right forum for you between the hours of 5 and 8 each and every Monday right here. Stick.
Yes, sir.
Right before we leave, just now we were actually talking about the corporations,
right?
Different type of corporation and where the tax is concerned and how does it affect.
Yes, I was saying that you have to know what type of corporation that you're setting up, and this will help you in the long term in terms of how you're gonna file your tax. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And once you understand, you know, the difference between those two that I explained,
the S corp,
and the
LLC,
the LLC and the incorporation as an S corp.
Right.
You know, and it's a choice that honestly it's a choice that you have to it's a personal choice, because for me I'll say okay, I'll choose an incorporation. I'm not gonna pay into this Social Security and this Medicaid. I have my own private retirement fund, retirement program that I know that will be there. I'm not sure if Social Security or the Medicaid will be there by the time I reach that age. So I'll take my chances in terms of that 15.1%. Instead of paying it into the government system, I'll pay it into that private system. It's a choice. A lot of people be like, okay, I probably might not have the knowledge of that private system, so let me just set it up like this and pay into Social Security or pay into Medicaid, because probably you were brought up through that channel, or probably whichever, either way, you're trying to create a safety net for whenever you are not that able-bodied anymore to operate. So it's a choice that you have to make. Not necessarily that, one is better than one and one is, it's a choice that you have to make.
Right.
But it's just and it's a choice that you have to make now. Do you want to pay that 15.1% now out of your income, or do you want to just don't pay into the system and you pay into your own retirement system whenever you feel like? I'll say that. I'll take that route because at least I save that 15.1%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every year from not paying into that system and paying into my own retirement system.
Okay.
So that's the approach that I'll say that I take. You know what I mean?
But for those who are looking at under the big scale that they want to incorporate the Social Security and all those things, the 401k into that plan, it will best to go with the Inc.
If you wanna, it's best to go with a S corp, LLC, S corp, and pay whosoever is your accountant or whosoever is setting up. You want to pay into Social Security and Medicaid. You want to pay your 15% every time you file your tax every year. You want to do your LLC, S corp, and pay into it.
So it's very important that you have a reputable tax person that you work with.
Yes, indeed, and I think that we share a mutual one.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And gentlemen.
So before we even move from tax, though.
Yes.
And I'm probably some young entrepreneur out there would ask this question too. Mm-hmm. Now, with the way the government system is set up right now, and the tax that we have seen where the bigger corporation pay less to nothing tax.
Right.
But the small mamas and papas have been dying from tax.
Well, you have to understand, you have income tax and you have capital gains tax. The reason why, and this came out in the 2012 election when Mitt Romney was running, and they were like, why is he paying such little in tax? He was paying the same thing that we were paying. The thing about, and when you're not making certain amounts of money, you knock certain people in certain tax bracket. But when you get up to that tax bracket and you're a job provider, then you will understand why you want that tax break. You know what I'm saying? So on capital gains, it's not to I wouldn't say to the poorer class, or to the less fortunate. But for those who aren't making as much money,
the 99%,
right?
Yeah,
they would love for more tax to be placed on capital gains, right? Like for example, you invest your money in Wall Street or the stocks or bonds or whatever, and that money, which is not sweating or whatever the case, is making so much money, they want a higher tax to be paid on that money. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like you're putting blood, sweat, and tears on that money. And I think that's where you will say no at this stage, DC. But when you get to the stage of making that money, and you're a job creator, you have business where you're providing for all these employees, then your mindset of that changes now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you fall in a different tax bracket. And how this thing works is, a lot of people, they're scared that, Uncle Sam is going to come for you, and all that stuff. You have to understand that there are different tax brackets that you're going to fall into. And this year you might make 50,000. Next year you might make 70,000. The next year you might make 100,000. But you're scared to show probably what you make or whatever. The IRS doesn't look at it like, oh, this person has a projection of, every year it increases his revenue. No. It's going to fall within a bracket. That's how they just marginalize the whole thing, because there's so much going on for them. There's so much that's there, they cannot track all of that. So they just bracket it up and just put you within.
All right, so let me see if I'm getting this correct. You're looking at it from the perspective as a businessman right now.
Yes.
But I'm looking at it from the perspective of those people who are employed and paying more than you, the businessman.
Right.
They're not getting a tax break. You are.
No, the way the system is set now, and I'll say to you, when you're creating jobs, and that's the reason why most of these companies, they ship the jobs across, because they're getting a better tax break on their company. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, a lot of people, they ship most of their manufacturing. You see, they say manufacturing is moving away slowly from this country.
Yes.
Because it's cheaper to do business in China, it's cheaper to do business in Mexico than it is here because they get that tax break. All right? For example, there's a fight going on in Atlanta right now, in Stone Mountain, Georgia. There's this, I think it's a Chevrolet plant. It wants to come into Stone Mountain. All right? And the way that these companies do it is they come to the city and they're like, I want to build a plant in your city. But they, the city, have to create the capacity and the money to finance and fund and build this thing because they're going to provide the job.
Employment.
Right. So now the fight that's going on now is the city wants to take a majority of that money that needs to come up from the school system of DeKalb County. So that's a choice that it's a tough choice to make. Do you take that money from that school system just to fund this big corporation coming in with a big business that you say is going to provide some jobs? So these are the decisions, DC.
That would be hard.
Yes,
that would be a hard decision. But for the city now, they're thinking about, the profit.
Yes.
What they'll make. Now, it will be employment too, so that look good for the city of Stone
Mountain. And the taxes that they're going to have to pay the city. That's where they make the money. Because if you notice, when you go down to 441, right?
Yeah.
And you see
car lots, like
car lots and you see the buildings getting all facelift.
Yes.
It's not the owners of those buildings that does that facelift. The city comes in and they did the whole entire 441. Because they're saying that if I invest this money and lift up my community, then therefore now each one of these people are going to have to pay a higher tax. That's where they make back their money. When they lift it up and then the community, it goes up and there is a higher tax they are going to have to pay. So it's the city that actually does that facelift that you see here and 441 coming up.
Wow.
So that's where they make their money. So when I said when that company comes in, the city, they'll bill it because they know they're going to make back that amount of money that in taxes over a long period of time. They don't think short term at all. They're saying that with this company here, with this amount of employees, with this revenue that this company, we're going to make back that money in the long term. You know what I mean? But at what expense? At the expense of the kids' future. You know I'm a strong advocate for early childhood education. So, I'm totally against that one. They're going to have to find some other loophole to cut, you know what I mean, to try to come up with that money, but just don't cut it from, the school system.
I don't think it would be fair to cut it from the school system. Now, you said something about, when, like, for example, say your business and you employ, you're coming into Florida to start a business, and you come into Coral Springs, and you are actually looking to employ, say, around 100 people.
Right.
You're given employment, right? Now, when could you go to the city and get a grant or a loan from the city based on the fact that you're bringing in your establishment here, or would they grant you a tax break?
Well, it all depends.
The fact that you're actually bringing employment to the city.
Well, you can. They will probably give you a tax break. There's certain incentives that you will get, depending on the capacity of business that you have. A big business like a Chevrolet plant, that's where you get
thousands of jobs.
That's thousands of jobs. So they will actually bend over the city to make sure that you bring this to it. And it's not just jobs that it's bringing. Imagine there's a Chevy plant in Atlanta. There's no Chevy plant in Atlanta. North Carolina, Alabama, those are the neighboring states that has these car plants. They don't have it. So for them to be getting it for the first time, they're trying to move mountains, all different kind of stuff to make sure that they capitalize on this. And most of the times the guys who are doing it is the same thing we talked about the last time, the guys who leave their heart outside the door and they don't pick it up back because, their kids are well off. They don't have to worry about, that school system that they're going to take that money from.
Okay. Well, hopefully they find another way to take it. So who is contesting
this?
Well,
the thing about it, as we know, it's politics. And it's always, and I'll say this to you, it's politics, and it's the Republicans who they want to make this cut, and it's always the Democrats who are the more liberal ones who want to
leave the education as it is.
But I'll say this to you: I am of no party affiliate. I am as independent as it is, and I strongly encourage one to be that too. In this sense, when you're not that, and it all depends on what field you're in, and social values.
Yes.
I stand firmly, and not too straight, too far from our topic. But on some social values, safety nets, and I stand with Democrats and they fight for. And business, I stand with the Republicans and what they fight for. And it's very interesting for me to say that. And I'll never believe that they will come when I'll say that. But I'll say this though, TC.
Yeah, I'm quite sure you can explain to our viewers.
Yes, in my business that I'm in right now, transportation, yes. I've realized that there are so many restrictions, there's so many what's that word I'm looking for? Regulations that's been set. Red tapes. Right, red tapes that's been set in place. And I'm saying to myself that yes, some of them are set so far off as far as safety net to try to catch you so you don't, you know what I mean, fall and mess up. But what it does, it strains the business. You know what I mean? And if you only have that tape removed, how fast you might grow or how much more income you might have. And when you see these other guys fighting for these things and you're a part of that that group that wants to advance, then where do you place your vote?
All right. So as I said, not to stray from our topic, but it's very important even when you're starting a business. This right here is an important factor. And here's why it's an important factor. Because when you start a business, you're going to encounter these stuff.
Right.
And whatever decision those guys upstairs make will trickle down.
Right.
Now, I think that the policies that the Republicans have in place, right, when it comes down to business, not all, but some, right, are okay. And when I look at the Obamacare,
right,
and I think it's a great idea,
right,
if well supported,
right,
if so many red tape wasn't around it, are running through it, and so many speculations, and they have to bend this here and bend this there, and if this should be passed, well, we have to put this in place. And I think the Republicans are very much instrumental in putting those red tape. Now, they say that when they're in power, they are going to repeal and replace the Obamacare.
Right.
From a business perspective, I think that they are just looking at that 1% and not the majority of people. I beg to differ. And this is why I say that, Junior.
Right.
Because if you are of the interests of the people, we the people, if we the people are your interests, then you'll find a way how to, all right, so let's build on this to make it a perfect plan. But the reason why they don't want to do that, even if they have the method and the idea how to curve it and turn it, they wouldn't. Because who would be the successor of that? It would be this current president, the Democrat president, that right, they don't want to get that credit. And because right, of that, they will even go further to repeal it and replace it.
And I say this, and I'll say it not in the terms of defending them at all. At first, you have to always seek from the root. That plan, that idea was tested and proven to work in Massachusetts. That plan was Mitt Romney's plan that he put in place in Michigan.